Hi. This practice is a practice to support participants in mindfulness-based stress reduction. And this practice specifically happens around week 4. It's a seated meditation that focuses in on the unwanted. Sounds inviting, huh? But when working with the unwanted, there are a few things to do. And this can be unwanted in terms of body sensations, right? So if you are in a seated position and that kind of unwanted sensation comes up, you can shift the body. But sometimes what's unwanted is emotional, or it can be mental, emotional. It can be the thoughts. It can be how we're feeling, right? And if that's the case, you can move the attention away from that. So that works with physical also, right? Let's say my low back is hurting and I decide, well, I could move, but that maybe I want to do something different. Maybe that doesn't work, or maybe there's just a new way to practice. And so if this is pretty charged feeling wise, maybe I shift my attention to a more neutral place, like my left ear. I don't really feel much there. The same thing if I'm coming up and meeting a thought that is unwanted or emotions that are unwanted, I can bring my attention back to my anchor, right? But the other thing that can happen is we can lean into it a little bit. I can really start with curiosity to breathe into that low back. I can breathe into the emotion. Now, not to dive into the analytics of it, but to breathe into the sensations, to the to what the body is kind of informing me of, is bringing up in me. We don't want to get into a cognitive place, though, of like investigating it in a wonder why I feel that way. It's not a leaning in that way. It's much more of a leaning into the sensation that's showing up. And so that's a way to work with the unwanted. And that's what this meditation is. So if you would join me in a seated position. If a seated position is not supportive for you, you are more than welcome to lay down. I'm inviting you to let the eyes close, but they certainly can be open. And if they are, maybe you take them to a place where they are not visually stimulated in any way. We begin by taking breaths in and breaths out. To anchor into this moment. To soften the face. To ease the skin of the shoulders. As you step into this moment with your body, and your breath, and your heart, and your mind, you bring into this moment all of what is. So what's here? What is inside and what is outside of you? The unwanted can show up in many ways. It can be an unwanted noise. We're not looking for the unwanted. We're simply noticing if it shows up to the party. Like Rumi's The Guest House. In the poem, he states, essentially, whoever shows up, let them in. This way of getting to know all of it by not pushing away, but by anchoring into this moment, this breath. This body. This exterior world. To courageously step into the moment. To notice if we have drifted away and to anchor in to right here and now. And if the unwanted arrives, you have choices. You can give it all of your attention, all of your curiosity for its sensations. Or you can bring your attention to something more neutral. One is not better than the other, but trust the wisdom for the way in which you engage in this. Quite possibly you also notice patterns. Not engaging mentally too much with that, but the light touch of, oh, I turn my attention away. Or I turn my attention towards. Or when I take my attention away from, this is what I'm aware of. Just moment by moment awareness of how it is for us when we engage or make a choice to disengage from the unwanted. Anchor into this moment, to awaken in this moment to all that is here, both wanted and unwanted. And then we make that choice to give our attention to something more neutral, or to breathe into, to lean in with curiosity of sensation. Sometimes for me, the unwanted is it's my disappearing from the moment. And so my practice becomes the practice of anchoring, of leaning in a way to be right here. But it's not fighting the unwanted, it's leaning in, breathing into this moment. And so, however this shows up for you or doesn't, becomes the practice. The noticing of how we engage. Recognizing, should it show up, of the unwanted. And then the choice, the courage to allow it to stay, or the wisdom to create this compassionate boundary and bringing our attention to something more neutral. One is not better than the other. To remain curious. Curious in sensations. Curious in how it is right now. Narrowing the focus back now simply to a breath in and a breath out. Again, to bring the attention to this anchor of breath in and this anchor of breath out. And to simply pause in reflection. Maybe now what is known that was not known before. If the eyes have been closed, let them gently open. And thank you. This practice of the unwanted can bring things up to the surface. Also, the simple act of sitting with what we often and habitually may push away is in and of itself a beautiful practice. Thank you so much. Take good care.